We got news this week that Media Molecule was ending sort of live support for Dreams, which is the wonderful game creation suite that they released, which is, won a ton of awards. I'm guessing it sold decently. It was in the works for quite a while. And I can't help but wonder if this is sort of like, I'm torn. Did this do what it set out to do? Or was this sort of a failure of a live service model? Because I know the community was really expecting a long tail of support, and we saw like a lot of really amazing Dreams out there, and people can still be creating it. There's still going to be plenty for the community to mess with. This is just the end of Media Molecule doing kind of community side stuff. Like we got 4 rounds of the Impy Awards. They had, they put in updates and things like that. So it's kind of bittersweet. But at the same time, I feel like it's kind of in line with the, post-launch support you'd see for something like a Little Big Planet game. But it is kind of depressing, especially considering how I don't know how much Sony kind of hyped this thing up over the years. Like this game was first shown off as sort of like a tech demo way back in 2013, sort of showcasing what the PS4 could do. And then it finally released in 2020. I think it got like a trailer in 2015 maybe, but it had like a pretty long road from announcement, reveal to actual launch. And so for the timeline of its actual launch to sort of cutting the cord of full on support being way less than that's kind of a bummer. It seems like a little bit demoralizing.
I mean, it's always sad to see something that's, a live service type game kind of get the cord cut. It sucks. But I mean, there's so much good content in Dreams. There's so much to do. There's so many like fun creations that people are creating. Like, I feel like I think it was a success in that metric for like being out in the world and letting the community just have fun and go crazy, and then giving new content as time went by. And then they celebrated and did awards ceremonies and stuff, because it lasted 4 years roughly.
Yeah.
So like I don't know, we
had 4 rounds of Impy Awards. The game launched I think early 2020, so I mean about 3 years, which is
I think there was like a year of like a open beta
right.
Yes, yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean it's funny to think about it, because sort of on the scale of it being a creative toy, I imagine it did what it set out to do. I know it won some like awards from, I don't know, best educational game. It probably got like a BAFTA or something. It very much like the sort of like, this is cool artsy fartsy tech that even moms and dads who hate video games might give a nod of approval to, like that kind of thing. But as far as being like a legitimate game creation engine, people made cool games in there, but it's also kind of like at a certain point you're like, maybe I should go work in Unreal. Maybe there's really, aside from, I mean, within Dreams, it's not a gallery where you can sell your pieces. It's a school hallway where you can hang up your construction paper creations.
It's a very guess.
And I feel bad saying that. And I think it's really wonderful what Media Molecule did. It's also amazing what the community did, like recreating PT.
Yeah.
But as far as it being like an actual, creation suite, it falls in this weird kind of gray area where it's like, it's not professional grade, game development software. It's a great, introduction.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you've got like the Unreal editor in Fortnite, which is kind of wild that that's in there. And then at the same time, it's also not really a product that can print money.
I'm glad you brought up the Unreal editor in Fortnite, because I think that I don't think that's like literally the cause of Media Molecule being like, all right, we're shutting down. But technology is advancing. We're getting to newer things and better tools than this one that was, these tools were developed 5, 6, 7 years ago, and then the game came out halfway 3 years ago. So like those tools, by the time they launched, were already starting to be outdated to a degree, and now we're seeing new stuff. So like I honestly can't blame Media Molecule, especially if I doubt they're working on Dreams 2. Hopefully they are, but there's so many new tools that they can kind of put into their next project. And they said a big cause for them shutting down is because we're going full steam into our new project. And I'm sure they already were working on that new project during Dreams, like most studios do. Yeah. But
another key thing is the studio co-founder, Mark Healy, left the studio after 17 years, which is, you get a sense that there's kind of a changing of the guard. But I also can't help but wondering if this is, if this is the folks upstairs coming down and, rattling some wallets or shaking the couch cushions for spare change or whatever. This is the Dreams by definition is like, it is not selling fish. It is teaching people to fish.
Yes,
which
100%.
Sort of not really a good business model. And I feel so cynical and like almost like anti-creative for saying that. But
No, it's true. It's like when you've like once with Dreams, once you've got the what I think it was $30 when I picked it up, like there was never a need for me to spend any more money on that. And if you know, if that game did monopolize all my time and I was like super into it, like a lot of people were, they probably didn't spend any other money on games for other things that are other big Sony franchises.
A lot of bang for your buck, just not,
it is
not for Sony. You know?
Exactly. And so, you know, and that's fine. It's totally okay. Like, you know, I did that when I was playing Final Fantasy 14. That's all I played. I didn't buy any games for like 6 to 8 months because I was totally enraptured by Final Fantasy 14. And that's the same way it is for games like Dreams, where yes, it's kind of teaching a person how to fish instead of, you know, making them come to the market every day and buy a fresh fish.
Yeah, I guess my sort of fear here is that the last Little Big Planet game we saw was Sackboy's Big Adventure, which was decidedly devoid of any creative side stuff. Like you can't make anything in that game. It's a straightforward
platformer,
which is great. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good use of that. I just hope that like this isn't sort of, you know, Sony looking at the you know the numbers and being like, well, Dreams spent this long in development, sold this many units. People are still playing it, but not paying us. Meanwhile, Sackboy's Big Adventure is just like a straightforward thing. I hope that they're not like, do Tearaway too, but make it less less creative or something. Like do it, just knock it out, you know?
Yeah. I think the biggest problem with Dreams from the beginning, from even before it came out, has always been it's so hard to market.
It is.
Telling people what it is like, okay, well, what isn't it is almost the quicker way to talk about it. And it's like, Little Big Planet always had a mascot, and Sackboy was immediately like something for people to cling on to. And then at first, especially the first one, that was very much a 2D platformer at its core. You could do a lot with the creation engine and sort of create new things with it. But it was very clear that like, okay, this is a platforming game, even if it's like, you know, super floaty and stuff. It's a platforming game that you can create a lot of stuff in, and that's what really sort of got its hooks into people. And then Little Big Planet 2, they sort of expanded it quite a bit and let you do a lot more with its creation engine. And then this sort of expanded it basically as far as they could go to let you make anything. And then you get so far away from like the tangibility of it. And so it's just like, you don't really have a mascot. You have, you know, Imp or whatever, but that it wasn't really like marketable.
No, that's a really good point. Like that's looking at it sort of that way. Yeah, I think being able to sort of look at the thing on the box and understand like a more focused goal. I feel like the comparison would be like if Little Big Planet is Lego, then Dreams is like Sculpey. Like you can make anything, but that's also extremely daunting, and that's sort of you know, completely relies on your own creativity, and it's a little bit less like, I don't know. I also can't help but wonder, and this is sort of like evil businessman brain, which isn't very big in my head. I wish I was more reptilian and cold and calculating and all that. But what if Dreams had like sold texture packs or had some kind of like, oh, great news, we've got this license thing is coming, so you can drag and drop things in there. Like it's completely antithetical to like telling people to make up whatever they want. But I, you know, can't help but think that maybe that would have helped keep the lights on a little longer.
Oh no, for sure. I think, you know, just adding like a shortcut instead of having to model all these characters on your own. Hey, here are the character models for God of War. Here are the character models for Horizon. Here are the character models for Ghost of Tsushima. Like
that would have been wild.
Like that would have been really cool to kind of do that type of stuff. Like, but also I understand Sony not wanting to just like give away all the keys to the kingdom. You know what I mean? Like it's so.
Yeah, again, they don't want you to make your own God of War. They want you to buy God of War. Like that's it's that simple. So I don't know. I feel like that's the big discussion is like, did Media Molecule, did they achieve what they set out to do, or was that too idealistic? Like was it
I think, you know, obviously us guessing what they were hoping to get out of it is just pure guesswork. But I think one of the things that I think is almost undeniable as far as success goes for this game is that like it had an extremely strong, extremely passionate community.
Yep.
It was probably not as big as they would have liked, but it was people who were making these games day in and day out, making some really good stuff that would show up all over the internet because it was like, holy crap, someone made PT in Dreams. And so I think on that level, I think it was a huge success. And I think if I had to guess, I'd say that that's probably something that's pretty satisfying for the creators.
Yeah, no, that's got to be pretty awesome. I mean, I can't help but imagine that this absolutely, definitely, without question, got some kids on their way to designing games. I mean, they did design games, but in terms of like, oh, this is what I'm going to do when I grow up.
Yep.
I imagine this was, you know, a great baby steps into
very much so,
or Unity or whatever like that. So you know, I'm so glad it exists. It makes me sad to see them kind of dialing back support, but I'm also curious to see what Media Molecule does next.